YouTube. So decided to do another video. I think this one I'm probably going to do about one of the times that I've responded to an attempted suicide at work. So it happens quite often. They have some training on it that they give us on how to respond properly to that. So it was probably about 7 or 8 o'clock at night or so, I want to say. And myself and two other officers were in the office, just having our dinner. And then we hear the call for medical responders to our protective custody unit. So, of course we all run down there, not really knowing what it's going to be. So the officer that called it was fairly new. He'd only been there for maybe a month or two, I want to say. And, we get up to the cell where the guy is at, and still we didn't really know what was going on. We just knew it was a medical call. So we go up there and we see him trying to hang himself from a light fixture by a shoelace. So before we can properly go in, we're supposed to have a shield and at least 5 staff members on the door. We didn't exactly have the shield. We had, I think, 6 or 7 staff. And someone who was in the control cage, they opened the door before we were supposed to. So we all run in there. Of course, by the time we pull the guy down, he's not even conscious. He was still somehow breathing. So we didn't have to perform CPR or resuscitate him or anything like that. But that's just some of the shit that you're going to see if you start working in any kind of jail or prison or anything like that. And you just got to find a way to cope with it. And some people have no problem coping with it. Some people have all the problems in the world trying to cope with it. It really just depends. For me personally, I just use music. Blast music usually on the way to and from work. But it's just a small idea of the kind of things that you're going to see. And to us that had been there for a while, it was just another day at the office. Not really anything out of the ordinary, but still, you just got to be prepared to handle that kind of stuff. And the reason they want so many staff members on the door and the shield is in case it's a ploy to get officers to come in there so they can try and attack us. So anytime you go in a cell like that, you're risking your life. And again, you got to overlook what the guy has done, if you know. I think in this particular case, it was some sort of crime against a child. And, he's going to be in there for life. But it just kind of goes to show you that you got to be willing to risk your life to protect some of these guys. And I just came across a news story that was from a couple of years ago. I don't know why I just now found it. But this guy, I think it was in Brazil, he had beaten and raped his 1-year-old son to death. And once he got into prison, the inmates got a hold of him. They ended up stabbing him multiple times in the back. And he was raped by about 20 different offenders there. And, a medic gets a hold of him, they stitch him up, they release him, and then they do the same thing again. And if you see that, you can't just look the other way. You're obligated to respond and do something. You got to go in there and try and save that guy, despite what he's done and what's going on. And not everybody's willing to risk their life to save someone that raped a 1-year-old to death. It takes a special breed to be able to do that. And to add a couple more things as to what kind of things these guys will do to fuck with you. For example, one thing they're notorious for is gassing staff, which is a term that we call whenever they have their piss or their shit, they'll save it up, they'll put it in like a shampoo bottle or something like that, or in a cup, and they'll try and throw it at staff as they walk by. depending on what kind of unit you're working in. Another thing they'll do something like that, but they'll take a light bulb, and they'll crush it up so it's just nothing but broken glass, and they'll mix that with their combination of their piss and their shit, and then they'll throw that at you. So when you go to wipe it off, which is usually the first instinct thing to do, just immediately try and get it off. A broken glass cuts into your skin and causes some kind of nastiest infections you've ever seen. And so sometimes they do shit like that, sometimes they don't. It really just depends on the offender, depends on the staff, depends on the unit that you're working in. And most facilities have different units. Like there's some that are minimum security, there's some that are close custody, which is not necessarily maximum, but it's one step underneath. And usually it's the close custody guys that cause all the problems. Like at my facility, recently we've had some pretty big fights where it's the majority of the unit was involved. Usually we're talking close to 100 or so offenders, sometimes more than 100 offenders involved. I was off the most recent fight, thankfully, but it was pretty bad. There was blood all over the chow hall, all the way all over the floor and the walls, all the way down to seg, which is probably a couple 100 yards, I'd say. And you can't be grossed out by blood or things like that if you're going to work in corrections, because eventually you're going to see some stuff. Some of them see it right away, some of them don't. It really just depends. One thing that you're going to have to get used to is OC spray, because you will encounter it a lot, and if you're not used to it, that shit sucks. For those who don't know, OC is basically pepper spray. That's just the proper terminology for it. And when there's a big fight in the chow hall, you've got pretty much every staff member in there spraying, especially the new staff members, because they don't know how much to spray or when to stop spraying. And a lot of them don't know how to aim the spray either, so they end up hitting other staff, which sucks. But it does happen, it happens pretty often. Thankfully, I haven't been sprayed directly since I've been working in the facility yet. I have had a direct spray though, so definitely get used to that. Be prepared to handle it. Another thing, you can't be offended by any kind of foul language or anything like that, or anything derogatory and racial slurs, because you're gonna hear it, you're gonna see it. You're gonna see the guys with the swastikas tattooed on their face. You just can't let shit like that bother you. Especially if you're not a white guy or a girl or whatever. You see all these racist fucks walking around just head to toe in swastikas or anything like that. So you're gonna see it, and you're gonna hear a lot of shit that you probably don't agree with and probably offends you, but you can't say anything about it, and you just can't let it get to you, and you can't show them that it's getting to you either. Once they know it gets to you, they're going to do everything they can to use it against you. I just wanted to post this quick video for tonight. I hope you guys enjoy, and always stay safe and never stop training. Take care.